I have spoken with many Republicans in Congress and many who will join our ranks soon. None are actually inspired by Kevin McCarthy, though many feel financially beholden to him because he is the LeBron James of special interest fundraising. In this last cycle, Kevin McCarthy, his team, they raised $500 million in campaign money. That buys a lot of friends, or at a minimum, rents them.
Republican Matt Gaetz happens to be one of the GOP lawmakers who is against the notion that Kevin McCarthy should serve as the next House Speaker. In fact, there is an ongoing rebellion against McCarthy, but despite that fact, McCarthy did easily win a vote today that would make him the nominee for Speaker of the House. And of course, this is due to the fact that Republicans have taken back control of the House of Representatives. McCarthy won easily, 188-31 in the internal conference meeting. But in the eyes of Representative Andy Biggs and his supporters, the goal was merely to demonstrate that McCarthy lacks the support to seize the gavel when the full House meets to choose the Speaker early next year. Now, I'll decode that and tell you what that all means in just a moment. But first, why don't we go back to Matt Gaetz and hear a little more from him in regard to why he's not supporting McCarthy.
I'm making my announcement, which is that I'm not voting for Kevin McCarthy. I'm not voting for him tomorrow. I'm not voting for him on the floor. And I am certain that there is a critical mass of people who hold my precise view.
And one of those people who holds that precise view is Representative Biggs, who also wanted to run for Speaker of the House. So let's go to his statement. He was interviewed recently on Newsmax, and he explains why he wants to do this.
I'm going to be nominated tomorrow to the position of Speaker of the House. We'll see if we can get the job done and the votes. It's going to be tough. I mean, Kevin has raised a lot of money and done a lot of things, but this is not just about Kevin. I think it's about institutional direction and trajectory, and that's where we're going to see if we have enough people who agree that we need to change the trajectory of this place and open it up so where people can actually represent their constituency in a more open and transparent manner.
So let's just make this clear. It sounds like you just announced.
Yeah, I guess I did kind of.
Now, no one thinks that Representative Biggs is going to be the next Speaker of the House, but this vote was done in an effort to show McCarthy that they've got some leverage, meaning the Republicans who are against him, most of whom are in the House Freedom Caucus. These are the most extreme right-wingers in the House. They want to change some of the procedural rules within the House of Representatives, and they're using this as leverage against McCarthy. Now, it is unclear how many Republicans would in fact vote against McCarthy on the House floor on January 3rd. Conservatives say McCarthy does not have the 218 votes necessary to be elected Speaker of the House, but McCarthy's allies project confidence that he will in fact be Speaker. So, Cenk, what's going on here?
Yeah, so first off, we're gonna get to in a second an amazing scenario where Liz Cheney could be Speaker of the House or Henry Cuellar. Now, these are real scenarios. They're not totally fictional. They're not super likely, but they're definitely not impossible. So I'll explain that in a second. But let me deal with the folks that you just saw. Andy Biggs looks like a cadaver. Let's say it and move on.
He does.
Okay, it looks like they revived him. They put him in one of those mortician suits and somehow got him to speak. Okay, now to the substance of what he said. Both he and Matt Gaetz did make one very good point that's totally true, which is that the reason Kevin McCarthy is the leader is because he raises the most money. And so all of Washington runs on corruption. Mitch McConnell raises the most amount of money in the Senate, McCarthy does in the House. But on the Democratic side, guess who raises the most? Schumer does in the Senate, Pelosi does in the House. Why? Are they the leaders? Because they raise the most money. And the mainstream media will tell you that means they're the best, especially when it comes to Democrats. For Republicans, there are mixed reactions, right? Here's the reality. No, it means they're the worst. They are the most corrupt. They have made the most promises to corporate donors and other incredibly wealthy individuals to do exactly as they are commanded and not to look out for their voters. That's super obvious to everybody in America except mainstream media reporters. But I like that we've got Republicans actually saying it on air. That's terrific. Part of the reason that Matt Gaetz says it is because he takes no PAC money at all. He was on our show, he talked about it, but I knew that beforehand. And in fact, I was trying to give him credit for that when we were talking about it, as I moved on to what I'm going to give him discredit for, which I always do, which is, but Matt, then what's the point? Because you still have the same exact corporate agenda as McCarthy does.
1000%.
So all of this is about nothing. So I read trying to figure out, what are they mad at McCarthy about? Because I get it, they're super mad and they're never gonna vote for him. But on the Democratic side, there's a very significant and real policy divide. Progressives don't like that the establishment is in favor of corporations and let them run amok. They do everything the donors want. Now, progressives are very quiet and meek about that. They barely ever say it. They kind of mumble it under their breath a couple times on TV, but that is a substantive difference. The progressives want Medicare for all, the corporate Democrats do not, right? And we can go down the list of 12 policies like that. For Republicans, they're like, oh, I'm more extreme than you, but on what?
No,
on what?
It's amazing.
And so the only thing I could find was Matt Gaetz thinks that McCarthy would impinge too much on the sovereignty of Florida. No, get out of here. That's not your actual complaint. He says, oh, he wants to hire too many cops, but Florida has enough cops. That's not your complaint, right?
Yeah.
So I guess it's in reality a thing between the Trump quarters and the non-Trump people, but Marjorie Taylor Greene weirdly is on McCarthy's side.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Yeah, you can't make heads or tails out of it, because remember, the most important takeaway is Republicans don't care about policy at all. All they care about, their politicians care about protecting the status quo so that we can live under oppressive corporate rule. That's their bosses. They love that we live under that corporate rule. And Republican voters, on the other hand, totally different priority, care about owning the libs. And they don't care about anything else, right? So Gaetz goes, oh, own the libs more. But I agree with you on 99% of policies. So it's a fake fight.
It is a fake fight. Also, there's some ego involved, because one of the reasons why House Freedom Caucus member Representative Bob Good is upset at Kevin McCarthy is because Kevin McCarthy didn't call him to congratulate him on winning re-election.
Oh, come on, man. I mean, this is like when Jim Clyburn said, oh, Killer Mike said something slightly mean about me in a tangential way in a town hall, and Nina Turner didn't disagree. That's why I got all my corporate friends to spend millions of dollars against Nina Turner, because my feelings were hurt. Well, if true, that is 10,000 times worse. Oh, I don't care about policy, I don't care about the voters. My feelings were slightly hurt by someone sitting next to her. Right? So all the politicians do this, and the mainstream media doesn't tell you that it's an terrible, absurd thing to do. They validate it by going, oh, that's true. Joe Manchin's feelings were hurt when someone put out a statement he didn't like, and Clyburn and the Biggs and these other guys, all their feelings are the most important thing in the world. We don't give a goddamn about your feelings. Do your job, care about policy. Now finally gets to Liz Cheney and Henry Cuellar. Okay, so Liz Cheney, this is the scenario in which she becomes Speaker of the House. Since the Republicans are gonna, it looks like, have only a 3-vote advantage, if all the Democrats vote for Liz Cheney and they get 3 moderate Republicans to vote for her, boom, she's the Speaker of the House. Remember, the Speaker of the House does not have to be in the House of Representatives. She got voted out, but that's irrelevant. Some people are talking about how Donald Trump could be Speaker of the House. That's not impossible either, by the way. It's less likely, but not impossible.
Yeah, but I gotta jump in on that. And if Democrats actually do vote for Liz Cheney to be Speaker of the House, that further solidifies one of the biggest issues I have with the Democrats as of late, which is they have become the new party of George W. Bush, right? The never Trump Republicans leave the Republican Party and essentially join forces with moderate Democrats who I already had an issue with, and
who are already Republicans.
Who are already Republicans in a lot of ways, right? And you'll notice a lot of the Bush era characteristics now being carried out by the mainstream Democratic Party, and it bothers me a lot. So I just wanted to make that point. Go ahead.
So I've made this point 100 times, but I used to be a liberal Republican back when such a thing existed many, many years ago when I grew up in New Jersey. The current Democratic leadership is more right-wing than I was when I was a Republican. The entire spectrum in Washington has moved insanely right-wing, right? And yet again, mainstream media also gigantically right-wing on economic issues. That's why they never told you, oh yeah, we've been lying to you the whole time. The guys who used to be considered right-wing are now considered left-wing. The guys who are right-wing are now barbarians, but we don't say that, we say 50-50. They moved the Overton window on us. So finally, Henry Cuellar. Now the Republicans are going to Cuellar, who's a conservative Democrat in Texas, beat a Justice Democrat in a very tight primary and then won the general election. And the Republicans are saying, listen, if you switch parties, we can grab a couple more Democrats, and then that way we don't need the Freedom Caucus and the extreme right wingers, and we can get either you or McCarthy, more likely McCarthy, to be Speaker of the House as long as you back our play. And Cuellar, being conservative, he's apparently turned them down, but of course he heard them out. And now if he had done that, wow, Nancy Pelosi defeated his opponent in the primary, so did Clyburn. They helped to defeat someone who actually believed in the Democratic agenda.
Progressive Jessica Cisneros.
That's right, and Cuellar has never agreed with the Democratic agenda. He's always been a right winger. He voted with Trump 70% of the time. So if he turn around and go, thank you, Nancy, appreciate your help, you schmuck. Now I'm gonna help Kevin McCarthy become Speaker of the House. That would be perfectly fitting. And by the way, I don't think Pelosi would mind too much.
I 100% agree with that. I mean, Pelosi can't stop herself from repeating how much she desires strong Republicans in Congress.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, I don't think it would bother her all that much.
And by the way, the final play is for Jim Jordan. They're not really going for Andy Biggs. Jim Jordan's going, oh no, golly gee, I like Kevin McCarthy's money. I'm not opposing him. But the play is to cause enough of a ruckus that they're either gonna get big concessions on getting steering committee representation for the extreme right wing, thereby pushing the Republican Party even further right, especially on social issues, or they're gonna make a play to get Jim Jordan to be the Speaker of the House by rallying the right wing around him.